Welcome to the Business Clicks podcast, the podcast that interviews business owners to discuss their struggles, strategies, and successes with using the power of the internet to grow their business. We discuss the transition from brick and mortar growth strategies to digital alternatives. We provide new and exciting tactics each business can use to be successful in this new digital world. I'm your host, Adam Barbro. Let's get stuck in. Welcome to this episode of the Business Clicks podcast. Joining us today is Scott Mitchell from Cornerstone Risk. Scott, before we get started, I just want to ask, what is one thing that you believe that will make a successful business in the years to come?
What is one thing that will make a business successful in the years to come? Look, what will make a business successful to me doesn't now compared to previous years is probably no different. It's ongoing, consistent customer service. Holding yourself to the highest standard of customer service is pretty well your greatest retention tool. So I suppose it's not telling you it's nothing new, but it is definitely the biggest part of my business. That if I hold myself to the highest possible customer standard, and that's where I'll see success come in.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've both seen all those businesses that sort of focus so heavily on bringing new customers in, and then they just have this flow of customers that once they've used their customers, they don't come back, and it's just this constant game of trying to get new customers in rather than just keeping your current customers happy with high retention and then turning them into like advocates for your actual business.
And that's look, without going into it too much, but that's probably one of the biggest pitfalls in a lot of businesses in my industry is that there is absolutely this massive drive on bringing new customers in without enough focus on what the organic growth within your business actually is. Your greatest advocate is the customer, and by keeping a consistent high standard of customer service, you will be successful. Yeah,
definitely. Tell us a bit about Cornerstone Risk and your business and how you got into it and how it all began for you.
It's a bit of an accident, which seems to be a trend in our industry. I don't think any high school student has a burning passion or desire to be an insurance broker. When I was 21, I decided that I wanted to try something a bit different. So a friend of my mother's got me a job in a small country town called Moree in northwestern New South Wales. So I went out there for 3 months and I was a broker's assistant. I was out there, down there for 3 months, and then after that they moved me up to Roma, where my understanding was I was going to be there for 6 months, and ended up out there 3 years and became an insurance sales manager. From there, I wanted to go and do a bit of travelling, so I went overseas for a bit. And when I came back to Brisbane, which is where I grew up, I applied for a role with the Suncorp Group, and that's pretty well where the insurance broker I am now sort of began. I got a job with GIO. I was there for 2 years and 1 day, and when they rolled that business up, they basically gave me an opportunity to purchase my clients off them, and that's where Cornerstone Risk came about. I became an authorised representative of Brazilian insurance broking, and I suppose the rest is history. That was in June 2016, so Cornerstone's turning 5 this year, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, right. That's a big milestone for businesses. They always, I think the data basically says that I think it's 80 or 90% of businesses go out of business in the first 5 years, and there's a bit of a drop-off rate then for those that make it to the next 10 years. So I guess the 5-year mark is a bit of a milestone for any business.
Oh, I can tell you when I first left the big bad world of working for an organisation, every month was a milestone for me. But absolutely, we're very excited about the 5-year birthday at Cornerstone, and I dare say I'll enjoy a couple of beers that day. I think it's the 16th of July that is the official day. So
getting close.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a bit about currently obviously you've just explained that you spend a lot of time making sure that you have a high retention rate of customers, but obviously you do need for any sort of growth, and there will be a natural drop off of customers as your business goes on, whether they're no longer in business or whatever's happening. So how do you currently look at finding new leads and new customers?
So I spoke briefly before about advocacy, your customer being a great advocate for your business. that's not a throwaway line. That is absolutely true. I would say that 30% at least of any new business that comes through the door would come from our existing client database, whether it be a referral to a friend or a referral of another business that is in a similar industry. I would suggest that at least 30% of our new business would come from that. The other 30% comes from people who aren't necessarily clients but know what we do. So, Adam Barbaro, your business, you would refer a client to me. So those networking channels that we have, or those centers of influence, if you will be the other 30%. And the other 30% would probably be through a lead generation program that we run in conjunction with Resilient Insurance Broking as well as the Suncorp Group.
Yeah, right. Okay, so to break that down, you've basically got about 30% coming organically. You've got a 30% referral program coming in, and then you've got 30% or thereabouts coming in from other groups,
so
sort of like a larger.
Yeah, so our industry, the insurance industry, you would know, it's got a massive .com platform. It's got big call centres. The ability for customers to do business directly is definitely out there. Quite honestly, not everything fits down the pipe, and not every business is the same. So you can't take a cookie cutter approach in my industry. Yes, if you ring up a call centre, they can place an insurance policy for you over the phone. But as soon as it gets outside those parameters, then as soon as it goes outside the parameters or doesn't fit exactly down the pipe, then they can't facilitate it anymore. So customer calls a call centre, they can't get insurance placed through there because it's just a little bit too complicated, or it's outside the underwriting guidelines of the call centre. Well, we have agreements in place with the Suncorp Group to help facilitate those leads when they can't be placed down the pipe. So we take those leads very seriously. We treat them with a great deal of respect, and we certainly don't take them for granted. And when I say that 30% of our new business comes from that lead generation program, I'm not exaggerating. We work those leads really hard. We make sure we provide the highest level of customer service possible, and quite often you might have to wade through a few tie kickers, for lack of a better term, I suppose. But there's certainly some fantastic businesses that come through there, and we're more than happy to help them out.
Yeah, based on what you're saying, I've got two real big questions that I'm interested in knowing about. And the first one is, there's a concept with like sort of digital marketing, which is sort of own your traffic. So the idea that, people that are solely reliant on maybe something like Facebook ads to bring in their business, they don't own that traffic. They don't own their ability to market to the customers they want to market to because they're going through Facebook. They're just renting the platform to be able to access those clients rather than getting them on like an email list or something where they can then have the ability to market to them and get sales through them, for eternity, for as long as those people are using those email addresses and are subscribed to that list. Yeah. My question there is there some hesitation there knowing that, yes, 30% of your business is currently coming through Suncorp, but if that could ever change, what are there systems in place to deal with that or anything? I'm just thinking from a digital marketing perspective. Obviously, the goal is to try and get the leads into traffic that you own to make sure that you can always convert on that traffic. Is there some hesitation? Yeah.
I wouldn't say hesitation. Look, we're very much a modern business, but when it comes to a marketing perspective, you would look at my business marketing plan and go, what are you up to? Like we're pretty archaic. Like there might be some connotations on social media surrounding insurance companies. So when you choose to advertise on a mainstream boosted post social media platform, it's fraught with danger on social media because there are people out there with preconceived ideas of what an insurance broker does, and I've seen some awfully nasty things just from a post being boosted get sent, whether it be my client, whether it be a colleague of mine.
I know what you're talking about. You see the horde and the massive people that are angry at some sort of experience in the past and feel the need to comment even though they don't know you.
Yeah, and there's no direct correlation between us, as in Cornerstone Risk Group, and the and the problem that this person has, yet they will draw that parallel. And now I've gone from putting a post up about protecting your commercial assets to suddenly I'm the reason that you don't have a roof on your house, even though that's completely not the case.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know this person. I've never done business with this person. So when we were coming up with our strategies, and like I said, we can tip a lot of effort into customer service, which we feel pays dividends in our business. We probably stepped away from social media platforms and, online marketing and online marketing strategies based on probably call it fear of that exact scenario we spoke about happening. I think they call it trolling or something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, with that, my other questions were based around one, because again, a large amount of your business is based on the sort of almost like affiliate style. You have people that are referring your business. Do you have any sort of incentives there or any systems in place that maybe businesses can learn from that sort of helps this process, or maybe would help increase that number should you need it to in the future?
So, like, when you say incentivize, how do you mean? Like, am I incentivizing?
Well, do you? It doesn't necessarily have to be incentive. I know. I've worked with businesses. Rather than giving incentive to get affiliates online, we've basically just put it out there. Hey guys, this is what we're doing. You mind sharing it to your clients to see if they're interested in needing this, and this. And you've been very specific in knowing that if you're working with a business that's after a specific type of insurance, hey, they're probably working with similar businesses that need similar insurances. So it's almost like using that targeting. Do you have any inbuilt sequences there where you're like, I know, these 30 clients of mine are going to be using the type of insurance that's one, profitable for my business, and two, a really good point that we can create some long-term customers there. I'm wondering if you have any sort of systems or processes in place where you're like, yeah, we try and make sure that we can, talk to those because we send out emails about this or something like that. Have you got any sort of systems in place there where you're trying to make sure that those affiliates that are coming through from your current customers, particularly the types that are generating really good business, that you're able to sort of amplify that?
Yes, but again, it's not so much of a like I say, a bang an email information pack getting sent out to customers in the niche industry. Just next week, for example, like me beginning my career in the agricultural space out west, I still have a lot of clients who are in that industry, and I do take pride in looking after those regional clients. Next week is Beef Week's on in Rockhampton. I'll be up there for 3 days, so I will have how many beef cattle grazers do you want in one space? Really, that would be an example of where I'm going. Well, here's my product service offering. I'll go around and talk to people and hopefully, meet the right people and make some connections to do business with people down the track. But as far as like an online or a strategy per se, no, I wouldn't say we have that.
Yeah, I'm just curious because it sounds interesting, right? You have this really, in many ways, super effective business model that's built on you not having to do a lot of this digital marketing in order to get that onflow of that growth, basically from new leads and new business coming in. But I'm curious as to, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be digital marketing as in Facebook ads, but there could be strategies out there and things that you can do that amplify your current situation to make sure that you're in more of a controlling seat with these people and people that are very similar. So, for example...
go, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, for example, you just said we're going into this area where there's a high congregation. I know, for example, Alexi, who you obviously we both know from your Easy Web Solutions, he runs on a regular basis. He runs particularly out to trades and dentists and stuff, holds some sort of conference where he can get people in with someone with some sort of authority and they talk about something, which then ends up leading to a bit of a pitch without being a pitch. It's more of an education program, which then leads to a pitch. And I'm just curious, well, as you mentioned, you're going out to this area which a lot of your ideal customers are sort of congregated in one area. Is there an effective way there that you're able to get them into one location where you can, do a one-to-many sort of style education that's beneficial for them? So you're not pitching anything, you're literally just providing education to them, which then obviously leads to, hey, if you want more info, just leave your email here and I'll be in touch. And that way you've at least got their email and a way to contact them in the future. Is there anything like that maybe? Or have you tried that in the past? or
Look,
is it not relevant
done,
to the type of customer?
you know, when you market yourself as a bespoke insurance broker who looks at a customer as they are and tries to facilitate insurance that's custom to their needs, it's very hard to hold an all-in-one information, session. What you could do is promote my products and my services and what we can do for the customer. But in terms of actually really knuckling down to an individual's personal needs, there's a fair bit in that. And unfortunately, in a large environment, you just can't boil it down. So effectively, yes, there would be an education piece on the sort of service and product offerings that Cornerstone has. But I feel that in order to do our job, we really need that one-on-one time with our customer and that back and forth with our customer to really understand what it is that they're up to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I would challenge you, though, on the fact that I would disagree with the point that being able to talk to people, even though the individual offerings and approach is different, and I can, put this in personal perspective with my business and my individual approach talking to a business about what they need to do to be able to market themselves and create content, or whether whether content's a big part of their strategy or not, is individual. But I can still come in with a group environment and talk about market data on a larger and give them incentives of why they're in need from it on a larger scale. So rather than me coming in and selling, I'm not coming in to sell them Facebook ads. I'm coming in to say, hey, this is the way the market's looking. Are you prepared for that change, or are you not prepared for that change? And that just by giving them education, they then maybe have the logical, can follow the path and say, well, yeah, okay, I need to do something here. That's all I was just trying to look into.
No, that's a really good way to put it too. But I suppose it's going in a different direction to that group setting you spoke about. But you run a business, so you know what it's like. What next month I'm going to do this, and then next month becomes next year. So, notwithstanding the fact I've been talking about doing a Cornerstone newsletter for, and sending it out to our massive database of clients for so long, that would probably be a direction that I would go first.
Yeah, definitely.
I would set you up this month we're talking about cyber insurance, or this month we're talking about, public and products liability insurance, whatever it might be, and a few dot points surrounding, a very broad bit of information that people can sit in their inbox. They can have a quick squiz over it. If they want to have a good read about it, they can. And if they want to get in touch and discuss it, we'd love to make a time to talk to you about it. So I suppose less of a group conference setting and more of an information newsletter would probably be a direction that we would go first.
Yeah. And I think the ability to, a lot of businesses sort of, as you just said, they sort of, their initial impression is, oh, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to say is going to be specific to everyone. And I think that's the wrong effect to take from the beginning, because I think if you go for broader with market data and a bigger picture of what's actually happening. So for example, if you're a shoe company, not talking about shoes, but talking about the effects of, of your feet and how that affects, your lower back or something like that, that's market data that gives people the incentive then to go, hey, shit, I need new shoes. So I think when talking about this sort of stuff, if you're able to provide value and use market data as the incentive, you don't even have to pitch in the end, because people use that data and that information to make their own conclusions about what they need or want, or what problem you're solving for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was quite interesting. I think it's really quite interesting how you're, I think it's great that the focus is on, I guess, making sure the customer experience is that good that you have so much referral. I think that speaks volumes to your business and your approach to your customers compared to, some of those horror stories you do hear.
Yeah, I think as well, to sort of just go back on, I've seen, I've had a short career compared to some that I work with, don't get me wrong, but I've already seen insurance companies and insurance brokerages try to take stuff online to make stuff less touch, low touch. And then I've seen it sort of half work but not work, and then go back to the old school way of doing business, and then the wheel keeps turning, and then 3 years later we're back trying to do this non-touch, everything online sort of focus again, and then it sort of works again, but then we go back to doing business the way we always did business, because at the end of the day, people want to talk to a professional and want someone that's going to partner with them in their business moving forward. So I suppose having seen people try to go online, and this isn't necessarily what you're talking about, I understand that, but I've seen people try and go online, and then I've seen it not be very effective. And I've seen that happen too, like, on every 3 years for my career. Like, someone has another crack at going online and then it doesn't quite work. So, whereas if we maintain our high level of customer service the whole way through, I feel that we've been more successful.
Yeah, I am curious, and this is something that I had written down to actually talk to you about, which was you're mentioning that now, but as the generations move on, you've got a new generation of business owners coming through that are more familiar, spending more time and giving more attention to online and have more trust in those online businesses than maybe the older generation might. Is there a thought there about, okay, it's not great now, but in 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely there is, mate. Absolutely there is. I don't think it'll be in the advice model. I don't think it'll be the advice I give will go online. What I think will become more online is the way we communicate. Like, I think right now, if I send you a form that I need you to fill out, you can print it off or you can type over the top on Adobe and then, e-sign it, whatever you like. So I'm facilitating you, who's a little bit more tech savvy, to be able to do an e-signature with the same proposal form that my father would use, where he'd print it off, sign it, and then probably scan it back to me, right? Or fax it back even. Right now I'm doing business that like using a process that works for both. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's sort of getting into what I was getting at. I was also getting at the fact that I think with if you look back and just say, hey, Facebook is barely 15 years old, and yet it plays such a big aspect, not only our personal lives, but business as well in general. Maybe not specifically for every business, but for the large majority, definitely. So I like to talk to businesses about this because I'm curious, particularly in different industries. I guess the forethought in saying, hey, considering Facebook's had this much of an impact in 15 years, and with the new tech that's coming out with 5G and all this stuff that's going to just make it, more data and more technology more available, it's more like, okay, can I look 10 years ahead, and how is it going to play more of a role, and where's my ability there to differentiate myself and be a bit of a leader to ensure that the next generation of people that are definitely going to be using this technology, I'm the person at the forefront.
Yeah, but I do think that at the end of the day, I still need to collect information.
Always.
So I need to collect information about your business in order to then liaise directly with insurance companies to buy insurance on your behalf as your insurance broker. So to my point is, I think we are going online more and more every single year. But I see the benefit will be that I will basically, rather than send you a proposal form, I'll be sending you a link that will then collect the information, that will then send the information back to me. And I'm like, rather than there being this quite labour-intense process of you actually filling something out, you will literally get like a survey monkey, I suggest. Like, that's the way I see the online going. More, I know that's not really digital content marketing, which is your thing, but in terms of an online, where do I see the business going? That's where I see it going. I don't think I'll be doing business over Facebook per se, because the advice I give requires me to speak to someone on an individual level.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm definitely interested because I've, the more I think I look into the tech that's coming up, the more I sort of think, well, how much are people going to take it on in different industries? I think is interesting, and I definitely think there's going to be some industries that are going to be, I wouldn't say resistant. They're not outwardly saying we don't want to be a part of this, but I think there's going to be some industries that take a lot longer, 20, 30 years to really make that change until, the way we use things with technology is completely saturated. It won't be until then that these things really become mainstream in those industries. And I think it is industry specific. And when looking at some sort of marketing strategy or strategy for growth in your business, it has to be specific to your customers and how they actually interact with your sort of business.
In terms of that, like I'm excited about the efficiencies that this brings. Like, don't get me wrong. And if there's a new platform or system or whatever that comes out that I identify as a way to lean up my business and free up some time and make life easier for both the customer and Cornerstone, which in turn, like, we will then be able to allow, that will free us up to deliver on the high level of customer service that I almost, like, I expect from myself and I expect from my staff in Cornerstone. If there's efficiencies out there by using any of these tech platforms, then I'm 100% on board to try them out. I'm certainly not dismissing it. I'm just saying that I've seen tech companies come in and try and change the way we do business a couple of times, and I'm yet to see one that's stayed around long term.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, I think that's a great sort of piece of advice to sort of finish up on. I think you're a great example of someone that, you know, has a business model that's set up that puts more emphasis on customer experience and making sure that's your fuel for growth rather than the focus on constant leads coming in and not spending enough attention on current clients. And I know I was talking to a gym owner just recently, and you know, that approach didn't work for them. Actually, they had people that quit because they were like, "Hey, you haven't been in for 2 weeks. I'd love to catch up." And they're like, "Oh no, I just cancel my membership." Obviously, it's a different industry, but my point is, I think this approach that not everyone needs to focus on leads, but needs to focus on what you're doing, which is great customer experience, creating advocates for your brand rather than bringing new customers in. And that can create just as much growth with a lot higher retention than what, you know, maybe a digital content strategy or maybe a, you know, old direct mail style campaign could deliver.
I think it also, like, providing that sort of customer service, you know, it's great for your customer's experience, but further to that, it actually gets you fantastic customers who you want to do business with, and it also puts you in a position to be for them to be doing business with someone they want to do business with. So your working relationship is just so much better. But you're not focused on the quantity as much as you are the quality of your customer. And like I said, some of my customers I've had for, you know, the better part of my whole insurance career now. It's more than just a product. And a service. We're a working partner in their business, and that's what, again, a part of the industry that I really enjoy is actually going out and partnering with these people and working with these people to probably challenge the way that insurance brokers used to work with them.
Yeah. I mean, if you've read Tim Ferriss's Tools of Titans, he talks about this concept where he has in there the 1,000 true fans. It doesn't necessarily have to be 1,000. 1,000 is just a number that I think was given to it. But I think this concept of creating, people get too confused with the idea that, oh, we need this many people. Like, we need so many people to be able to have a, you know, huge business. But realistically, if you've got this really dedicated group of people that use you on a regular basis, that is more effective and, you know, makes your life so much easier than trying this opposite approach of having these people that just, you know, rolling door in and out.
Oh, and when I first took the job with GIO, I was working for a leader, and he actually said to me, "Scott, I want you're starting today, and in 3 months' time, I want you to cold call, you know, and to the point that you have 300 due dates, so 300 renewal dates. So pretty much get the yellow pages, call everyone, and just go for it. And in 3 months' time, you need to have 300 due dates. And if you have 300 due dates, that means it'll equate to a 10% conversion rate or 10% quote rate. And of that 10%, you'll convert 10 into new business." Like, well, that to me is just, that's hectically hard yakka to become to cold call 1,000 people to get 300 due dates. It would have been 3,000 people to collect 300 due dates, of which that 300, you're only going to get 30 people say yes to quoting. And of those 30 people you quote on, only 10% of them are going to actually go with you. It's a lot of work.
A huge amount of work, yeah, 100%. Not efficient. I think one quote that I heard recently, which made me just think of what you just said, which is a lot of people, their business model and their work ethic is based on what they can do, whereas a good business owner is someone who does what the world can do. I.e., they come up with stuff that's already happening out there, and they leverage other people to be able to make this thing work, rather than oh, I need to be able to do, cold call 3,000 people to get work.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to thank you for coming on today. It was a great chat. I think you have some great information there, rather than people always necessarily not focusing on their current customers and giving them great experience and making sure that you're following up with these customers that you've also had in the past to bring them back on and giving them great experience again. Makes your life a lot easier than having to find new leads and new business all the time, which just comes into a rolling door and you're never sort of able to take your foot off the pedal, making your life as a business owner so much more difficult. If someone wanted to get in touch with you at Cornerstone Risk, how could they get in contact with you?
Any of my customers or potential customers call me anytime if they want to chew the fat. Mobile number 0438 807 591, or give you off the call 3135 2435.
Thanks. Okay, well, that concludes this episode of the Business Clicks podcast. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time. I'm your host, Adam Barbro. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Business Clicks podcast.